Hello. Welcome back, everybody.
Welcome.
We are nothing without her. Nothing.
I know. We're missing
nothing.
We're missing a third of us.
Yeah.
She'll be here shortly.
Right. So welcome back.
Yeah. Welcome to Bible Prophecy and Truth. My name's Dan. I'm the author of BibleProphecyandTruth.com. This is my wife, Kelleen, co-hosting and chat moderating, and our usual cohort, Diane, will be here shortly, I'm sure. So welcome.
So right now, before we start, make sure you give it a big thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel if you are on YouTube. And if you are on Rumble, make sure you're following us on Rumble. Turn on the notification bell so you do not miss any great uploads. And go to videos.prophecyandtruth.com, videos.prophecyandtruth.com. Scroll all the way to the bottom and sign up for the newsletter. On that first page, which we talk about all the time, there's some really important videos. You can sign up to get first notification for the videos that come out. But make sure you sign up for the newsletter if you haven't done that already. And then share this video with literally everybody you know. And there she is.
There's Diane.
Oh. Watch this. Watch this.
And she'll be on shortly. And hello, Kathleen. Welcome.
Hi, Kathleen.
Good to see you, sister.
And make sure you turn on the notification bell so you don't miss any great videos.
Okay.
Hey, Diane.
That was just for
Welcome.
you. I
We're
think we
just
have the
getting
same
started.
colors on. Look at that.
Red, white, and blue.
Yeah. Awesome.
I have black pants on, so now all I need is something yellow, and I look like the German
I
flag.
have black shorts on. And so does he. He's got black shorts on too.
So today.
Glad you're here, Sissy Pooh.
Yeah. Glad you're here.
Me too.
Today we are going to talk about chapter 10 of the Bible Prophecy and Truth book. And this chapter just so happens to be the Revelation study, Revelation of Jesus Christ. So it's kind of a very long article. In fact, it's so long that people complained that it was too long.
Oh, wow.
So what I did is I created all these little see more buttons. So you can see more, or you can click the expand all at the top and it reveals all of it. But if you're reading this and you're only getting part of it because it doesn't have all of it on there, then make sure you click the see more buttons. But I'm not going to go through this entire article, or we would be sitting here for probably
till next Bible study,
a few weeks to get through it all. For the new people, if you go to videos.prophecyandtruth.com, go to the BP&T book video, which is literally the entire. Hey, Lainey, welcome. It's literally the entire book, all 31 chapters in video format. And if you go to this page and scroll to chapter 10, you'll see the Understanding Revelation, which has just a kind of an introductory video. But then there's a link here which takes you to another page which has the entire 21-part series on Understanding Revelation. So, and then a YouTube link and a live seminar we did on it. We'll probably do another live seminar on Revelation, maybe after this book study. But if you want to see the whole Revelation study, just check that out. And definitely, if you haven't seen it,
do Enoch.
Yeah, we could do Enoch.
Yeah, that'd be a good idea.
But check that out. Like I said, I'm not going to try to go through an entire Revelation study. What I'm going to do though today is I'm going to jump to the timeline, and I'm going to look at this image, or I'm going to download the PDF. Sorry, is what I'm going to do, because this has the entire timeline in a a scrollable fashion, sideways scroll, basically, that you can see the entire thing. And you can see Revelation in the way, what is all this stuff? Hi, thank you. I don't need AI for every stupid thing I do. It's crazy. It's like they're trying to push AI on you for everything. And oh, this is a long article. Do you want me to summarize? Oh man, people would be missing so much information. But with this chart that I did, it basically walks through the entire book of Revelation timeline from start to finish. And the important thing to remember about Revelation, and what I talk about at the top of this page, is, and I'm going to expand it all so you can see what I'm talking about. I talk about it right at the beginning. I talk about how John kind of writes in a circular fashion in a lot of this. And it's just because of the way the visions were shown to him. But it kind of is a telltale way that you can read the book. Is you can't read it as if, from chapter 1, verse 1, all the way through chapter 21, verse whatever the end of it, right, is everything in chronological order. And because if you try to read it that way, it makes zero sense. You cannot make sense of it. Oh, hey, Jody.
Hey, Jody.
She's on YouTube this time.
Yeah, she's on her way home, I think.
Oh, welcome. But it just doesn't make sense if you try to read it that way. And that's really why there's so many false teachers out there teaching some crazy, convoluted, mixed up teaching on what Revelation means and the sequence of events and everything, because they try to do it as if it's all chronological, and it doesn't make sense. You can't read it that way. You won't get the story. You won't get the picture that God's trying to give you if you try to read it that way. Because the book of Revelation is literally, I'll show you here.
Okay.
If you go to chapter 1, Rumble comes up with a blank screen.
Off work early. Oh, okay.
Can you check? Oh, is that you're on Rumble? It's looking
I'm on
okay
Rumble.
there. Okay, so
that's just her
just
device.
Something with
Probably.
yours. Okay.
Okay.
But the book of Revelation is literally the revelation of Jesus Christ. That's what the book of Revelation is. It's about his revealing to the world. When Christ is revealed to the world, and all of the seals, trumpets, and vials all lead up to this event, the revelation of Jesus Christ. And then once he's revealed, then he pours out his wrath, and there's a 1,000-year reign, and all of it is concluded. And the book of Revelation is written in that way, where the seals, trumpets, and vials are shown to us, and they all end at that place. And then you see the coming of Christ and the battle of Armageddon and the 1,000-year reign. But you have to understand that if you want to understand Revelation, you have to understand that it's all written in this fashion. And I point out quite a number of things about how it's, there's different things that are talked about. There's different visions that he has that are really the same event that are talked about in different places, and they're recorded in different places. And I've got a chart, which if you're not new to this channel, you've seen this before, where it shows the sixth seal, the seventh trumpet, the seventh vial, Matthew 24, 29, and Ezekiel 38, 18 through 22 are all recording the same event. All 5 of those scriptures record the exact same event. And it's really important to understand that, because when you understand that the seals, trumpets, and vials all end at the day of the Lord and his coming in the clouds of heaven with power and glory, and then he pours out his wrath, when you understand that, that's the key to understanding the book of Revelation, literally. So that's really key to this entire study that I have in this page. And I literally go through each chapter, and I talk about, chapters 1 through 3 and the letters to the churches, and then chapter 2. And I do it sequentially here for each chapter, but I strive to help you understand the way that it's written and the way that we can understand it. So, like I said, I'm not going to go through the whole study, but I'm going to go through this timeline with you today. So, like I say, it can't be read as if it's a sequential timeline of events. And I'm going to try to make this a little bigger. No, this is not going to cooperate with me, is it?
Too much stuff on there.
It is a lot of stuff. I think the last thing that you clicked on was good.
Well, I made it too big where it was going off the bottom of the screen. Let me see if I can do this. Well, 11. Let's see if this will work. No? It's not going to do it for me. It should go full screen. Oh, well. I'll just do it this way, I guess. I know F11 is supposed to turn this into full screen, but it's not doing so. Anyway, without further delay, let me get started. So the book of Revelation is, like I said, there's multiple visions that John saw, and they all lead to that event, the event of the day of the Lord, his coming in the clouds. But there's a number of other visions besides just the seals, trumpets, and vials that are recorded in between some of those that also are, like, a lot of the visions are a period of time. Like some of the visions that John records in just a couple of verses literally span like thousands of years, because it really just spans the entire time from the first coming of Christ to his second coming, and just the basic, what's going on during that time. It's very interesting when you begin to understand how to read it, and you start reading it and getting into those little places, there's visions in between, and start really understanding those. Then the book of Revelation really just comes alive. And it's so interesting. And what I recommend anytime we do this study is that people read it and do the same thing I did when I decided I really wanted to understand Revelation. And so what I did is I sat down and I just read it over and over and over, and over a period of time. I didn't do it all in one day, but I just read it over and over and over, like 15, 20 times.
Yeah, like when I'm listening to the Bible and I get to Revelation, I go, I'm on Revelation already?
Yeah. But and
if you listen to it, it really only takes about 20 minutes.
Yeah, the whole book.
If you listen, yeah.
Yeah.
And really sitting down, the average reader, you can read through it in an hour, So reading through it over and over and over just gets it all in your head.
It is true. The more we study it, the more
the more that you understand and the more that you see, and you get it all in your head. And then once you've got it many readings under your belt, then go and just start really studying it. Because as you study deeply in certain scriptures, you'll notice how it's parallel to other scriptures in this book. And that's how I kind of got it all in my head. So I definitely recommend that for everyone. I don't know why that keeps popping up. But the timeline is literally when in Revelation chapter 12, we see the birth of Christ by the woman, which is a symbolic representation of Israel. And in the actual timeline, that's the very first thing that happens, because Christ came before John was even shown these visions. So he's really got a symbolic vision of the birth of Christ and Herod's attempt to kill him, which is really the devil's attempt to kill him. And then, his ascension, which is in Revelation chapter 12. And timeline wise, that's the very first thing. Because, thank you, honey, my voice is really bad today. Thank you. So, so that's the first in the timeline. And then, as I note in here, and I know this is really small.
It's complicated.
Yeah. And some of this text is like really small. But what I note in here is that the seals and the trumpets, just like we've talked about when we talk about those, and recently when we talked about those chapters of the book, is that I can't tell you absolute certainty that this is the interpretation of those. So I point that out in here as well, because, you know, the four spirits being released was absolutely a long, long time ago, like shortly after Christ, probably shortly after the time of John being given these visions, which was around 90 AD when he was on the Isle of Patmos, and he was shown all of this. And literally, it may have even happened at that time. I mean, when Jesus showed John the breaking of the seals, it may have been the actual breaking of the seals. At least the first four, right? It could be. Speculation big time, I know, but it could be that they were broken then. More realistically, they were broken maybe shortly after that. But it shows us the spirits that are in the world. And when you see Catholicism, capitalism, communism, and Islam, you've got literally the whole world covered by these spirits that are represented in Zechariah. And if you missed the study on that chapter, just go back in our channel, whichever one you're on, and just go back in our lives, and you'll see the different chapters and where we studied the four horsemen, the six seals or the seven seals of Revelation, and you'll see that. But that's most likely the next thing that happened. Now, as I said, we can't guarantee that those are the correct interpretation. We can't guarantee that it happened at that time, but it makes the most sense for those specific seals, that the first four seals match the four chariots that are in Zechariah 6. So that happens, and then we get into we've got the four spirits, and then we get into the trumpets, because as we also looked at, it's very likely that the trumpets are already blowing.
Mm-hmm.
And we have to differentiate between the first four trumpets, just like the first four seals are kind of a different theme than the remaining seals. The first four trumpets are like warnings from God.
Mm-hmm.
The fifth, sixth, and seventh trumpet are the three woes, which are catastrophic events on the earth, where it's much more than a warning. It's more of a judgment.
Mm-hmm.
And then at the seventh trumpet is when God pours out his wrath, which is the same as the sixth seal. And then all of the vials literally are the wrath of God. So when we go through the actual timing of Revelation, we have the vision of the birth and Satan's attempt to kill Christ, and then his ascension. And then we get into the seals and the trumpets. And that begins the whole roll up to the coming of the Lord, which is, remember, it's all about the revelation of Jesus Christ, this entire book. So we get into the trumpet, the seals and the trumpets, and then there's a number of things, like the 144,000 are sealed, the three woes begin, the fifth and sixth trumpets blow, the Jewish temple is rebuilt. All of these are things we're waiting for right now. In this particular section of the chart I have, the 144,000 being sealed, that's kind of, it doesn't really give us a timing of when that happens, but we know that it happens before the fifth trumpet, because in the fifth trumpet, it talks about the men that were sealed with the seal of God on their forehead. So it happens before that. We know that. So, but when does all this begin? When we see the fifth trumpet, the three woes will have begun, but we're waiting for that. That's an event that it won't be mistaken as, and nobody will wonder if the fifth trumpet sounded, because it's going to be an event that the whole world will know. And these creatures, the demons that come out of the bottomless pit in the shape of these creatures and are stinging people for 5 months, is not going to be an event that we'll miss. And you know, the sixth trumpet, the second woe, is going to be what ends what will be a world war, most likely. It most likely will be World War III, because there's an army of 200 million specifically stated. And then the end of the war will be the trumpet blowing itself, where a third part of mankind is killed. And that's most likely a nuclear exchange that will end the war, because when that happens, the war will be over. So we're waiting for all of these. We're waiting for, you know, that, like in Revelation 11, the temple is rebuilt, or we're shown that the temple will be rebuilt, and that has not happened yet. So these are the things that we're waiting for right now. So we've already seen, we already know that Christ, you know, was born and grew and had his ministry and ascended. We believe that the first 4 seals and the first 4 trumpets are in process, right? We're at the 5th seal. We're waiting for the 5th seal. We're waiting or in the midst of the 4th trumpet right now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, and that's, like I said, speculative, but is most likely, and the best interpretation.
I think so too.
Yeah, it's the best interpretation that I've ever seen, and I didn't make it up, right? I've seen other people talk about these things, and what I do typically is, if I'll look at other people's theories, and if it fits the Bible, and there's nothing about it that doesn't fit, then it might be true, right?
Mm-hmm.
If there's one thing about somebody's theory that does not fit, then it is definitely not true. But if it all fits, then all we can say is, well, it might be true, because until everything comes to pass, we can't say for sure. Nobody can say for sure. So if anybody's out there claiming that they know absolutely that their theory is correct and what's going to happen in the future, they're lying. They're deceiving themselves.
And you know, for the doubting Thomases out there, they'll say, well, of course you're going to know what's going to happen once it's already happened.
Right.
You know, and they'll still doubt.
Yeah.
Yeah,
True.
they will.
True.
Mhm.
And that's why, you know, as we've talked about a lot, that's why Satan is setting up the world for aliens, trying to make people believe in aliens with his demon minions, you know, pretending to be aliens, so that when the 5th trumpet blows, people won't look to the Bible. He's trying to make sure they don't. So everybody can be a doubting Thomas, right? Say, oh, they're aliens. It's not the 5th
Somebody
trumpet.
said on the news, why would God make other beings out there and then just destroy them?
Exactly. And that's what I say, right? All the time. It's like, why would God create other sentient races to just wipe them out because of our sin? You know, that just doesn't even make sense.
Mhm.
Why would a loving God do that? Yeah.
Mhm.
You know, we're paying for our own sin, but why would they have to pay for
like
it,
what
right?
did they do?
Yeah. So these are the things that we're waiting. We're not even positive which will come first, right? It's it's almost absolute certainty that the sixth trumpet will blow before the Antichrist takes over. And it's almost, again, a certainty that it will be his stepping stone to power when he takes over the world, because he comes and by peace he will destroy many, and by peace and deception is how he takes over the world, because the world will be clamoring for a savior after the sixth trumpet. When 2 to 3 billion people die, the world will be screaming for a savior, and he will step up. Yeah. So that's pretty certain. When you study prophecy and you study all the timelines, it just doesn't make sense that the sixth trumpet comes after the taking over of the world by the Antichrist, in the middle of the final 7 years. It may come in the first part of the final 7 years, or it could even come before the confirmation of the covenant. So these are things that we're waiting to see exactly what order they take place in. But we have to remember, as one thing that you always point out, is the fifth trumpet has to blow before the sixth.
Right.
So, and we haven't seen that.
That's what we're waiting for first.
Yeah. So the war could be going on when the fifth trumpet blows.
True.
But the end of the war at the trumpet, that will not come until after the fifth, of course. Mm-hmm. So the 144,000 will be sealed, and we don't even know if we'll even know about that. There won't be any signs. There will be 144,000 followers of Jesus Christ that are Jews that are preaching Jesus. But will we know that? You know, we probably won't.
But that's a lot of people, 144,000. I don't think it's impossible for them to be all over the world. I mean, if they're supposed to be witnessing to people,
they wouldn't be in Jerusalem.
They probably will be
Israel.
All over the world.
Yeah. I would think they are. So you might meet. Who knows?
We might
meet them.
We might meet some of them. You never know. Yeah,
United States.
That'd be pretty awesome.
Because 144,000, are they protected as far as from being killed and stuff?
Yeah.
So then maybe people will try to kill them or something because they're preaching and they don't die, and people are going, that's weird.
Well, they're sealed.
And it does not say specifically.
Yeah.
The only thing that it says they're protected from is the creatures from the fifth trumpet. Oh. Those creatures won't hurt them. But when we get to Revelation 14 and we see the 144,000 are with Christ as the first fruits unto the Lamb, it indicates, it kind of indicates in a way that they didn't die. They just they were taken to be with the Lord.
Yeah.
And they can't be killed at the fifth trumpet by those creatures. So it makes sense that they won't be harmed and they won't be killed, but it doesn't specifically spell that out.
They follow the Lamb wherever he goes.
Yeah. Yeah, they're virgins. They're literally
pure.
Jews
They're pure.
That are virgins that follow Jesus. They're Messianic Jews, is what they are. Yeah. So we're waiting for these events. Now, we don't know when the confirmation of the covenant will come, but watching the world and watching what God is obviously moving in the world today and setting things up, and it seems very, very imminent that the confirmation of the covenant is going to come, like literally any time, where they're going to, and they're almost certainly going to force a two-state solution upon Israel. Which
I just keep thinking any day now, and Trump doesn't do nothing. Then he says something, it's like any day now.
Yeah.
It's like ceasefire. Okay, no, it's back on.
Oh,
now we're going to obliterate them. Okay, well, we're pausing that for a week because
it is kind of crazy. Plan. And I just realized I've got to edit this because the confirmation of the covenant did not happen last year. Because I actually wrote this. If you click on this to see why, this is actually an article that I wrote in 2017. and talk about the calendar of feasts.
But you didn't predict it. You didn't say it was going to happen. You were just
I just said best guess, from 2017. But and that's why I say my best guess for the year. So I definitely need to edit this because
just
it didn't happen.
Blank. Just say the confirmation of the covenant is going to be blank.
Yeah. Well,
question mark.
I don't have another best guess. Maybe this year, next year, I don't know. It seems very, very imminent right now.
I know, but you said it did 20 years ago.
Well, and that's the thing about prophecy is that, it seems imminent, but in God's timeline, 20 years is really just kind of an eye blink to him. So, it may be imminent, but to us, it seems like a long time. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and then, like I said earlier in Revelation 12, the first half of the final 7 years is, well, I don't know if I said that earlier, actually. But in Revelation 12, it shows the birth of Christ and his ascension. And then it basically jumps to the last days. And it talks about the casting down of Satan, the war in heaven, and the persecution of Israel during the second half, during the tribulation, which is the same timeline as the ruling of the Antichrist. So the first half of the final 7 years is, I don't know why I said that. I'm going to have to edit this little thing because there's a couple little things. I put Revelation 12:6 is likely the first half, and the casting down of Satan and his persecution is the second half, but it doesn't flow that well for me because Revelation 12:6 is the first half, but the casting down of Satan and his persecution of Israel is the second half. So I might need to just reword that a little bit, because when you go here, you notice that this is the appearance of the woman, and Christ's born, and the dragon tried to kill him, and then he was ascended to heaven. And then this begins the future part of this vision, which is the first half of the final 7 years. The woman fled into the wilderness, where she hath a place prepared of God, that they should feed her 1,260 days. So 1,260 days is 3.5 years, the first 3.5 years of the final 7.
What is 3 score?
3 score is, a score is 20. So 3 score is 60.
Okay.
So 1,260 days.
He's Satan.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. The dragon is definitely Satan. The great dragon was cast out, that old serpent called the devil and Satan. So yeah, it specifically says so, that the dragon is Satan. Yes.
Didn't you say just earlier something about the king or the emperor was trying to kill him?
Well, Herod the king was the one that Satan used to try to kill Jesus. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
King Herod. Yeah.
Yeah. So as I say, and I'm going to have to reword that, this is likely the first half of the final 7 years, that first 3.5 years. And then the war in heaven takes place. And the great dragon, the old serpent called the devil and Satan, is cast out. He's cast to the earth. And he's cast to the earth having great wrath, it says. Where am I missing it? Where is it? Right here. Okay. Verse 12. The devil is come down unto you having great wrath, because he knoweth that he hath but a short time. And this is when you study prophecy and you understand the timing of everything, this is the same time frame of the rule of the Antichrist, which we see in the next chapter of Revelation, where he's given power for 42 months, and the dragon gives him his power. So this fallen angel, the devil, gives the Antichrist his power in Revelation 13, and it's for 42 months. And it's him being cast to the earth, having great wrath, is what the tribulation is. It's the wrath of
the
Satan.
Bible told us more about why Satan turned on God.
I know. I would love to know that too.
Well, he wants to be God. He's jealous of God. And remember when we studied angels, the angels were created by God, just like we are. They were created at the creation
to choose.
And they were given free will just like we have. So Satan is jealous of God and wants to be God, and is so jealous and hateful and evil that's why he does what he does. Yeah.
Is it true
God
that
knew that was going to be like that, because he knows everything. Wow.
So is it true that he was like special to God, or is that a myth?
People say that, but I don't believe that it's true. No, there's not really any scriptures that confirm that. The scriptures that they try to use are not even talking about the devil. So it's kind of, and really all you have to do is read that and understand it. But yes, you're right. God knew that all of this was going to happen exactly the way it did. And it's like I always say, God created everything and set everything up exactly the way he did to create this perfect filter to filter out those that would not love him into eternity and would turn on him, be evil. When we go with God into eternity, there's not going to be anyone who hates him.
No.
Right.
Not anyone who wants to rule for themselves and be God themselves, and he set it up this way to create that filter, to create a test that's so perfect that it literally is the fine-grained test to only those who love the Lord will get through that test and end up with him in the end.
There's no surprise for him.
No.
I mean, I think about what you're saying, and I think, how would you feel if you just knew everything? Nothing could ever be a surprise to you. You couldn't never sit there and go, oh yeah, maybe that would be a better way of doing things, because you already know.
You see the future.
And God already knows. Yes.
And you see the future.
But when you read the Bible and you see everything as it played out throughout history and how God got involved in things, and he allowed people to make the mistakes that he knew they were going to make, and then went with plan B that he knew he was going to do, like with Moses, and it's because God enjoys taking part in it and playing that part in this whole thing that he's created, right? All things were created for his good pleasure, and he enjoys being involved in the progression of events and doing things. Yeah.
He's very social.
That's a good way to put it.
And he's very social.
Yeah.
He created social beings.
Yes.
His creation was very social.
To dwell with us forever.
Even animals are very social.
Yeah.
And for people who don't believe in God, it's weird how you can prove that there is, because we are like him.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, he made us in his image.
Words that they used back in the biblical times, they still use today.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's so many common things.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's the thing, is he made us in his image. And that's not his physical image, right? He imagined the form of man, right? And the plan from the very beginning was to become a man, which he did in Jesus Christ. But in the image of God we were made, the image that we are made in is his spiritual image.
Yeah.
His sense of humor, his desire for company. I mean, that's why he made us, because he wants to have a people to dwell with forever and share everything with. That's what God has done.
That's why he likes it when we're constantly talking to him.
Yeah. He
and
loves
conversing with him and telling him we love him so much. He just
we like the same thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
We're made in his image. Yes.
Right.
And so to wrap up what you were commenting, yes, he knew that Satan was going to do what Satan did. And he did it in such a way because Satan really has no power over us. Satan can't make us do anything. He only deceives us and lies. He is the father of lies, as Jesus said.
He's always whispering in our ears.
Satan was allowed to do this because that's all part of the filter. If you're easily deceived and taken down by the devil, then that's all part of that filter that God created. That's why he doesn't reveal himself to us, right? He doesn't stand on the earth and show himself in all his glory, because people would just bow to him out of fear. Yeah. And he doesn't want that. He wants us to love him because everything made by him knows of him. And there's no excuse. That's what he says in Romans 1. We all know, even when I was an atheist, I knew deep down that God was real. I just denied it emphatically. But I knew, everyone knows, even those who deny him. And it's that filter that he created, this matrix-like environment that he's put us in, is that filter. So he allows us to make the decision ourselves. And he allows us, if God was standing where you could see him, you wouldn't be able to deny him. No. He doesn't reveal himself in the physical realm because he wants us to be able to deny him if we want to.
Yeah.
Right? But we know he's there.
He wants us to prove ourselves now, which he's doing. Yeah.
And when you love him, when he's around, he's there. Oh, yeah. You have him with you all day long.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't need to see him face to face. I don't need him. I've seen him very up close and personal without actually seeing his physical form.
Sense, yes. Yeah, because I feel him. I feel his
we know
presence.
He's there.
Yeah. Yeah. And so, moving on from that subject, the coming of Satan in Revelation 12 is definitely when he gives his power to the Antichrist, and the Antichrist takes over the world, and Satan has given him his power for that 3.5 years that he rules. And it's the second half of that time period. And I wanted to point this out, where this is the first 1,203 score days is 1,260 days, which is 3.5 years. And the devil is cast to the earth, knowing that his time is short, and it's going to be for a time, times, and half a time, where that's also 3.5 years, a year, 2 years, and half a year. So that's the second half of the final 7 years. So that's why I note this here. And like I said, I'm going to reword that a little bit so it's a little easier to comprehend. Because if I read it myself and I'm like, wait a minute, then other people reading it might just be going, what? So I got to reword it. But then
the confirmation of the covenant, my guess would be 2025.
Yeah, I know.
Ding, 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 ding.
Yeah.
No, it wasn't.
So it didn't happen. But it was
but you
guess.
always say that I'm speculating. I'm just watching the signs like everybody else.
I was never claiming to be a prophet. So,
no.
Yeah. It's just speculation, and it was hopeful speculation, but didn't happen.
Yeah, I know.
But it looks like it's going to happen soon enough. So, and this is, we're literally waiting for this. Any of these, we're waiting. The confirmation of the covenant most likely will be the first thing that happens.
Yeah.
And then we'll see the rising of the Antichrist. We'll see the fifth and sixth trumpets. and then the taking over, the abomination of desolation when the Antichrist takes over. But that's the first half of the final 7 years, where there's different visions, like in Daniel 8, Revelation 17, Revelation 13, right? I note these things where, there's the saints under the altar, right? Which is the fifth seal. The saints under the altar. How much longer will it be? And the Antichrist will stand up and begin gathering his power. This is 8 months after the confirmation of the covenant. We will see the Antichrist stand up. And I believe the correct interpretation of that today, I believe, is when he declares himself the Mahdi of Islam and creates the fourth beast of Daniel 7, the 10-horned beast, which will be 10 Islamic nations giving him their power and hailing him as the Mahdi.
So what do you think is going to happen then with China? Because, we're guessing that China's going to be involved.
In the war.
The war.
And I believe that China will probably be decimated by the war. That's what I speculate, right? It seems like it's going to be China because there's a 200 million man army. And then there's things like a jacinth that are specifically noted, where jacinth is a red-orange gem, which is the color that China loves, and the dragons they use in their parades and everything. It all seems like a picture of China in the sixth trumpet. And yes, that's speculation, but it's the thing that fits the most. And then with a third part of mankind dying in that war, it's almost certainly going to be India and China, with there's massive population density and right there, and India being a Western ally and China being Eastern, and there's a war that escalates and becomes nuclear. India and China are both nuclear nations, and that it's most likely that the vast majority of that third part of mankind will be from that area. And like I said, it's speculative, but that's just what makes the most sense, knowing everything that we know today.
Yeah.
So China will probably be a non-entity after that. There'll be people that still live there, of course, but its power will be gone. So maybe.
You never know. Because people there are already Christians, and they're practicing Christianity underground, basically.
Yes, they have to hide.
Yeah, and maybe at that time things will be really bad there, and people will be going hungry and everything.
Yeah. If China is decimated by the war, then it'll be really bad for anybody who's still alive there. Absolutely. Yeah. The underground church would be able to go above ground, though, so that's they wouldn't have to worry about hiding anymore once the communist government is out of power. And then they could. I'm sure God will take care of them. They'll be able to plant and begin growing food and things.
Yeah.
So it'll. That's the thing is God is going to take care of His people. So we know that during the tribulation that the Antichrist will be making war with the saints and will prevail, as the scriptures tell us. But and that's what I note here in the second half of the final 7 years, that it's through Satan, really, the Antichrist, through Satan, through the Antichrist, is making war with the saints.
Who was that? Raja?
And oh, Raja. Hey.
Hi, Raja.
Nice to see you, brother.
Raja?
I missed that comment. Yeah. Glad you're here.
I can't read it.
So
Is it right?
So we were, yes, it's Raja. Yeah. So the events, like I said, that we're waiting for, and we got a little sidetracked talking about the war and things in China, but the events that we're waiting for are these. And like I said, it's most likely the confirmation will happen. And then we'll see the Antichrist stand up. He will create the 10-nation union, which is the fourth beast of Daniel 7, and declare himself the Mahdi of Islam, begin gathering power, and which of course then he teams up with the other three beasts of Daniel 7. They all become one in Revelation 13. And that's his military and political power base, as those 13 nations. So that's what we're going to see when the final 7 years begin. The confirmation of the covenant will begin that. And for any new people, to understand what the confirmation of the covenant is, it's simply this. It's going to be any action by the world that basically allows Israel to be a nation and draws the borders, which is under contention right now. Everybody's saying that Israel doesn't even have the right to exist. Well, they're going to give her the right to exist, and they're going to draw her borders. And if they do it with a forced two-state solution, they will be forced to draw her borders. So if they create a Palestinian state, they're going to have to draw the borders of what's Palestine and what's Israel. It'll be a two-state solution. So if that's the most likely scenario that will end up being the confirmation of the covenant, because the covenant is God made a covenant with Abraham that he was going to father a nation, and God told him what the borders would be. Mm-hmm. That was the covenant. So the confirmation of the covenant will be exactly that. The world will give Israel the right to exist and draw her borders, which will confirm the covenant. And the Antichrist will be one of many who does that.
But nobody will know who it is until he stands up and starts taking power.
Right. And 8 months later, when he stands up, begins gathering power, then we will most likely see that in the news. Yeah.
Come on, Donnie.
No.
Ma'am, Danny.
No. So the other way that this could happen, of course, would be what was started with the Abraham Accords, and which is now still the Abraham Accords and the Isaac Accords and the Trump's
Cyprus
and
Snow
and Trump's Board of Peace, which could bring some kind of peace treaty.
Cyprus.
He's really pushing it, and then he just kind of backs off, and it's come on, do something.
You know what he's doing though? He's moving chess pieces around the board.
And they're falling
this is the longest chess
game. Still saying that he's weak.
Yeah,
they fell for it again.
He's just playing chess. That's what he's doing. But anyway, I don't want to get sidetracked. So that's what will begin the final 7 years, is the confirmation of the covenant. Then during the first half is when we're going to see, Israel it'll be a time of forced peace, right? As Jesus said, when you see Jerusalem compassed with armies, know that the desolation is nigh. And most people think that this is Israel under attack. But we have to note that he specifically said Jerusalem compassed with armies, not Israel. And the desolation will be nigh. Now, if they do a forced two-state solution, the way they want to do it, they're going to split Jerusalem in half. And it will be half Muslim and half Jewish. And they will definitely need international military forces in and around Jerusalem to force the peace.
Yeah.
And I think that's what Jesus meant when he said that.
Yeah.
We will see it when it happens, and we'll know for sure then. But this, and then the fifth seal may be broken, and there's just all of these things are going to happen. The Antichrist is going to stand up. There's all of these events will happen in the first half. The temple will be rebuilt. The Antichrist will stand up. Or do I have the temple being rebuilt? It should be in here. Yeah. Well, any of these could be next. The temple may be rebuilt during the first half of the final 7 years. And I really believe that it will. That when they sign that peace treaty or force the two-state solution, they're going to give Israel permission to rebuild the temple, which they're chomping at the bit to do right now. They have the blueprints, they have all the priest materials and everything. They even are building it off site where they can just bring it in and put together very quickly. I've shown videos about
they're going to be so mad. Those Middle Eastern countries are going to be so mad.
Well, remember in Daniel 11 that they're going to try to mischievously sign that peace treaty, trying to make something else happen underhandedly. And in Daniel 11, it tells us that it doesn't work because it's not time yet. God says no. And they're going to be really angry about that. Yeah.
Yeah, they are.
Gotta wait.
Yeah. So then in the middle of the final 7 years, that's when it begins, when the Antichrist sits in the temple and claims to be God. So he's going to, in the rebuilt temple in Jerusalem, he's going to go in there and mock the Jews and say, I'm God. And he's going to cause the sacrifice and offerings to cease. And he's going to immediately tell all of the Muslims in Judea and Samaria to kill all their neighbor Jews. And that will begin the final the final 3.5 years, which begins the tribulation.
But don't you think people during that time, the ones that don't even serve God, the people that hate God, basically, don't you think they're going to go, holy crap, this is awful what they're doing?
Well, I would hope
that's
so.
what I mean. Like I don't think everybody's going to be on board with that.
Well, the thing is, though, if you look at the world today and you look
just start slaughtering Jews,
how literally half the world right now supports Hamas, a murderous, rapist, slaver, evil organization, right?
I know.
That's Islam, really.
But I was saying,
people just don't have a heart. I mean, there's people going out there killing people right now for nothing.
Yeah.
What I said was, don't you think people will be against that? I don't think everybody but true Jesus followers are going to be okay with that.
No, I agree.
There are going to be people who are going to resist. 100%.
But what I'm saying is, like, half the world right now already hates Israel and loves Hamas and this murderous organization.
Well, yeah, that's
and wants to see all the Jews killed. So half the world, probably greater than half the world at that point, is going to like it. But there will be certainly a lot of people that are not happy with, Jews and Christians being slaughtered. Absolutely. Yeah. So there's going to be people that don't like it.
And try to resist. They are going to try to resist.
There will be a resistance. Even among those that are not Christians, there will be resistance to this. He's going to be a dictator taking over the world, and people will resist. He's going to be fighting wars during his entire 3.5 year rule.
Resistance, yeah.
So there will be resistance, and I hope there's a lot of resistance in the United States, because I'm going to be part of that, right? So, definitely want it to be a large thing, so that we can be, maybe part of, a large encampment, that kind of thing, right? Where I can preach the gospel among those that are resisting the mark of the beast and resisting the Antichrist.
Yeah.
Because those are the only ones that can be saved, right? If you willingly give yourself to the Antichrist and his system and take the mark, you can't be saved. So there's no point in preaching the gospel to anyone who takes the mark of the beast during the reign of the Antichrist.
Yeah, you can't change it.
It's only going to be those that are resisting that I'm going to be preaching to. So
that's true.
Yeah. So the war in heaven happens at the same time, right? Satan is cast to the earth. The Bible seems to indicate that he may even possess the Antichrist. or maybe like share the possession of and the man. It's his power definitely that gives the Antichrist his power to take over the world, and it's the power of Satan that the false prophet is able to do miracles with in the sight of the beast. He has to be in the sight of the Antichrist in order for this power to be manifest. So, and it's through Satan that he gets this power to pull fire right out of the sky and things like that, which is what's going to happen. The false prophet is going to cause the world to worship the Antichrist by doing things and calling and saying that this is the power of God that he's doing these things with.
He's manipulating people, which is what Satan's good at. So yeah, he probably
exactly.
will take over him.
Yeah. He is the master of lies. He's a great deceiver. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll see. This is the beginning of the Great Tribulation, when the Antichrist takes over, and the false prophet will take over the world using Satan's power. The Antichrist will implement the mark of the beast, and it will probably come fairly soon in his reign. I used to think that it would probably take a couple of years to even get that system worldwide going. But now with new technology, and especially with AI, I can see this happening very quickly, where they've already got the mechanisms to make this work. They're already building the infrastructure. They tried to do it with the passport, the vaccine passport, which was not the mark of the beast, but it was a system where they wanted to mark everyone basically and take over and be able to track you everywhere you go and control you, which is what the mark of the beast will be. It will be a system to control you and track you, and you won't be able to have a job or do anything legally without that mark.
So there's going to be a lot of people taking that mark.
Yeah. And we saw just how split and broken the world was during COVID.
Yeah, and it's about to happen again.
This is, I know, with the hantavirus, they're going to try, but there was a lot of resistance to the COVID vaccine.
Yeah.
Well, now there's going to be way more resistance to any type of control measures with the hantavirus. If they try to turn it into a pandemic, then they're not going to get anywhere.
People wearing masks and stuff. People are like,
already. I know. It's those people that are scared.
It's the same people that were wearing masks in their cars.
Yeah, as if they needed a mask in their car by themselves. I know, it's crazy,
or not going outside.
But anyway, all of these things will happen. This will be the rule of the Antichrist. And it's going to be a horrible time for anyone who loves the Lord Jesus, because the Antichrist is going to be hunting and trying to kill all the Jews and Christians. And so we're going to have to hide out. We're going to have to be off grid. Hopefully we'll have some, resistance camps that we can be part of to survive, So, and I believe God will take care of us. Many people will be martyred during that time. Absolutely. Many, many people are going to die and be martyred for Christ at that time.
Yeah.
But there's going to be people preaching the gospel, and there's going to be people that are alive and remain at the coming of Christ,
I hope
as the scriptures tell us. So we hope to be some of those that are preaching the gospel during the reign of the Antichrist and helping people
to stay useful,
to get saved, at the very end, at the 11th hour.
I'd rather be working. I'd rather be working for God and see the importance. Well, everybody else is scared and hiding in closets. Well, we might be hiding in the closet.
Yeah. We may have to a time or two. You never know.
You never know.
But that's the second half of the final 7 years, is that time frame, the 3.5 years where Satan's cast to the earth, the Antichrist is ruling, and it's the mark of the beast is implemented, the false prophets doing miracles and all of that during that time. And then at the end of that final, at the end of the final 7 years, at the end of this, the tribulation is the revelation of Jesus Christ. It's when he comes in the clouds of heaven with power and glory and takes those that love him out, including resurrecting everyone who belongs to God at that point in time. Mm-hmm. All that belong to God will be taken up to meet him in the air. And that's when he pours out his wrath. And the wrath is really just a few weeks of time. It's somewhere between 1,260 days and 1,335 days.
That's
probably
a long time.
That is a long time.
That's a few weeks, yes. But it could be just 30 days or 45 days or 75 days. It's somewhere in that time frame that the wrath of God is poured out. And, that's when the Antichrist gathers his armies at the end of the wrath of God to try to take over, to try to take his armies in and wipe out Israel. Because as it says in the prophecies of Islam, the exact duplicate prophecies that Satan created in Islam that match the Bible and a perfect mirror of the Bible for the Mahdi and the Muslim Jesus and the Antichrist and the false prophet of the Bible. This Satan has set it up so that when all of this is happening and the wrath of God is being poured out, the Muslims are going to start saying, well, this is God actually mad because we haven't killed off Israel yet. And so they go to wipe out Israel to make God happy, right? That's what Satan, that's how Satan has them fooled so badly. And they're gonna go and try to fight Jesus, which all he does is speaks a word and just wipes them out. It's not even a battle. But I point out again this chart, as I showed you earlier, where the sixth seal, seventh trumpet, seventh vial, Matthew 24 and Ezekiel 38, they're all the same event, just recorded in multiple places. And then we have the sixth seal and the seventh trumpet and all the vials. And remember, the seventh seal is there's silence in heaven for about a half an hour. Mm-hmm. And that is literally the last thing that happens. When Christ returns, gathers his elect, pours out his wrath, and then we have the Battle of Armageddon, which is just him speaking a word, destroying the enemy. And like I say, it's not really a battle, right? It's the sword of his mouth, is what it says. He just speaks a word and wipes them out. He's going to touch down on the Mount of Olives at that point and wipe out the armies, and the Mount of Olives will split in two. It'll be a great earthquake, the biggest earthquake the earth has ever seen will happen at that point. And then it is done. As it says in multiple places, it's done.
And this then you got 1,000.
This is Christ. This is the day of the Lord has come. And Christ is going to return, and we'll have the 1,000-year reign, which is the seventh day of this entire existence. The seventh millennial day. That's the 1,000-year reign of Christ, is the day of the Lord. And I've got an entire video on the millennial reign and what it's like during that time. If you're interested, I have it on. Well, let me just search for it because I can't. Right. I should be able to find it with this. Now watch, my search won't work either. So, millennial reign. Okay. So what will life be like during the millennial reign of Christ? This video that I made a little while ago. And if you haven't seen that, check it out, because I found that it doesn't seem like there's very many people that really understand the millennium and what's going to happen during that time. There's also a companion document where I talk about all the things that are going to happen, what we can expect during the millennial reign of Christ. So if you haven't seen that, definitely check out that video. But then at the end of the 1,000 years, that's when Judgment Day comes, and all the rest of the dead are resurrected at that time and judged. And then God creates new heavens and a new earth. And there's going to be, God shall wipe away all tears from their eyes, and there shall be no more death, neither sorrow nor crying, neither shall there be any more pain, for the former things are passed away. That's going to be literal bliss. And God's going to recreate all of heaven and a new earth. And the universe will be our playground forever. I can't wait. I really can't wait. No, it's going to be awesome. So that, in a nutshell, is the timeline of the book of Revelation. And it's literally the timeline of the end. It's the timeline of the last days, which are, if you look at it this way, there's 7 days. The 7th day is the millennial reign of Christ. We're at the very end of the 6th day right now. The 5th and 6th days were the last days, because the 1st, 2nd, 3rd, and 4th were the first part. This is the last days. This is the time of the end. And people say, well, they said that 2,000 years ago. Well, yeah, because it's just the last 2 days to God.
Yeah.
We're there. And we're literally at the end of it now. So, and I've got this whole timeline, right? 3,000 years total from the birth of Christ to the new heavens and new earth. And the second, or the final part of God's plan. And then, all of this, remember, we're told that this is a fiery trial in Peter, where this is a test. This is just for God to get a people for himself that will love him, that he can take into eternity and bless with literal bliss in an existence that there's no pain, no sorrow, no crying, no death. I mean, that's what we get to look forward to. That's the promise of God. Yeah, it's going to be awesome.
I wonder what God would have planned for mankind if Adam and Eve hadn't sinned.
Oh, it would have been like
Garden of Eden. More people, or if it would have just been Adam and Eve.
Well, if there hadn't been any sin, then there would be no corruption. There would be no thorns and thistles. Bees wouldn't sting. Mosquitoes wouldn't bite you. Things like that.
What about the people?
There would be, the world would be a much different place because it changed dramatically at the flood.
What about the people?
And what?
What about the people? She was asking.
Well,
will there be more people?
Well, there would be way more people because there would be no wars and there would be no diseases and things to kill people.
People wouldn't die. They would live forever,
but
wouldn't they?
No one would die, exactly, because sin brought death.
Yeah.
So there would be way, way more people. Yes. It'd be billions upon billions. But you have to remember that the flood caused these great oceans, that the world was not 70% water before the flood. There was a lot more land mass and could support a lot more people. There weren't deserts like there are today. It was all pretty much a pole-to-pole tropical planet.
Yeah.
So there would have been plenty of room for a lot more people. Yeah. But anyway,
segue.
A little segue. Yeah. So that's
what is interesting.
It is.
Yeah. So that's the entire timeline, like I said, in a nutshell. And like I said, on videos.prophecyandtruth.com, if you go to the BP&T book, video book, which is, like I said, it's literally my book in video format. And if you go to this and go to the bottom of the first section, there's this watch the full Revelation series when I get to chapter 10, which has all 21-part series on understanding Revelation, where I go through what I just did in an hour and 15 minutes I think there's probably about 12 hours of video. So I go into great depth when I'm talking about that. So check it out if you want to. And then, if you prefer to read, of course, there's chapter 10 is what we're looking at right now. And yeah, I have the PDF that we were looking at that you can download from here, and you can read through this if you want to and study Revelation. My whole goal here, and one thing I point out, is that the expectation is that you don't just take my word for anything. The expectation is that you'll have your Bible open. You will read Revelation. You will study it for yourself and get to understand it and study it and know it from the Word of God, not from Dan. I'm just here to encourage you to read and study and talk about the things that I've learned from reading the Bible and the things that God has revealed to me through His Word. So that's really, if you want to know the truth, you've got to read the Bible. And, there's so many people that they believe what their pastor says. They've never even read the Bible for themselves.
No.
And most people say, well, I've read the Bible, but they've only read part of the Bible. They've never read it from cover to cover. They've never really studied it for themselves. And that's what, I'm really trying to encourage everyone to read and study the Bible for yourself, because that's how you will dispel the lies. If your pastor doesn't have any lies, he's the only pastor in existence that's not telling lies, because they're all deceived by their Bible college, depending on which denomination they're from. It tells you which lies they believe, and there's not a single church that I've ever seen that does not preach at least a few of the lies that Satan has embedded in the church. So it's important to study it. It's your salvation that's at stake, right? I mean, it's that important. You should study it for yourself and allow God to teach you. So that being said, I'm going to switch gears now. And there's a few things in the news that are interesting, that are very relevant to biblical prophecy. And, I always talk about when is the end. And that's one of the things, if you go to Bible Prophecy and Truth, go to the home page, just on the front page, and scroll down to where you see this picture, you'll see all of the signs that Jesus gave that would herald His coming, and the discussion about them, and all the things in the world that are literally happening right now and spiking. Everything that Jesus said would happen are happening right now. And one of them is earthquakes. And I wanted to point this out today because this is very interesting. Normally we have between 1,500, 2,000 earthquakes over a 7-day period. I've noticed over the last couple of weeks, this has been ramping up. There was like 2,500 last week. There's 2,749 earthquakes in the last 7 days.
Yeah,
it used to be where earthquakes would be like a 3-point something, and now they're consistently
5 and 6,
5 and above.
And there's a lot of high magnitude earthquakes going on in the last couple of years, and that seems to be escalating. That's one of the charts that I have here is the 6.0 and greater since 1960-ish. That has risen in a massive spike. And then we're kind of at a little downslope here, but I fully expect that to spike again, because it's certainly going to escalate, because Jesus said that men's hearts would be failing them for fear because of the things that are happening on the earth, which is earthquakes, storms, signs in the heavens, all of the things that He said would herald His coming. So earthquakes are definitely, they're on an up ramp here in the number of earthquakes worldwide. if that continues to grow, we may see another
Wow.
spike like this one. In 2020, there was like right about 200,000 earthquakes in 2020. If this number continues to grow, then we may see another big spike like that. So I'm watching to see. But another thing that's going on right now, the hantavirus. And this is a thing, it's been around for a long time.
90s.
And it's spread by diseased rats. And there's really hardly any chance of transferring person to person. There's very, very little chance of it spreading, but they're making a big deal out of it.
Yeah, except the good news stations.
Right. And Israel was one of the most vaccinated countries.
They're very
during
fearful.
COVID. Yeah. They're a very much part of the secret society's power, right? And they complied. And they're having initial discussions about what should they do, preventing the virus from spreading. Like they said about COVID, 2 weeks to slow the spread, and then they took it forever. And
actually, I've been hearing a lot of like, well, it's not that big of a deal, but there's a lot of news coverage. So they're contradicting, their actions are contradicting what they're saying, because I've heard a lot of things like, don't worry.
Yeah.
But it's just on the news every day. Every station is covering it.
And why
if
you
it's
might
not
say,
that
well,
big of
how
a
does
deal,
this
why are
have
we
to
talking
do?
about?
And then you might say, what does this have to do with prophecy? Well, one of the signs that Jesus said was pestilences.
Yeah.
And it didn't mean natural pestilences. It meant all pestilences, and even the man-made ones. So, and this is what, they tried to control the world with COVID. It utterly failed. And that's absolutely because God said no.
Yeah.
And it failed when it should have worked. But it failed utterly. If they try it again with this, there's going to be a lot more resistance this time.
Yeah, nobody's going to comply.
People are not going to be staying home and 6 feet apart and wearing masks, and they're going to say no, not again.
There will be some.
It was ridiculous last time, and there's so much data now about the vaccine, how the vaccine has actually killed more people than COVID ever did, and it's given people heart problems and all kinds, blood clots. I mean, just massive amounts of health problems and deaths.
Yeah.
And who's going to take another vaccine?
There's some people out there that just believe in a vaccine and they just get as many shots as they can.
Like our brother.
I know.
Like our brother.
Yeah. And it's just,
he'll have a couple of them by year's end.
It's fear that's prompting it, and trusting the government. It's like, oh, are you kidding me?
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, people do, and that's one of the signs, definitely. So we watch all of these things. This
he looks like
this
an
is
alien.
so ridiculous. Trump released all of the documents, but
And said
so
have
far
fun.
there hasn't been anything that's proven anything.
Yeah,
Right.
This guy, he was on Newsmax there. I saw him on the weekend, or maybe it was yesterday. And he was saying, well, we don't have enough information to say what these little blips and stuff are.
I
It's
know.
like
Yeah. And that's what I talked about
blurry
last
and
time.
everything.
Everything, even in today's technology, the only evidence they have is these blurry images that you can't even see. I mean, come on. We know that this is absolutely true, though, right? We are not alone, because there are evil spirits, devils, and demons in our world. We are not alone.
I think that's what he said, is maybe they're demons.
Yeah. And they are. They absolutely are. Demons, minions of Satan, pretending to be aliens to set the world up for the fifth trumpet. They're going to say that the creatures are aliens. Absolutely. I can guarantee that. Yeah. So I had to put that there. And then this is the thing with this whole Iran thing. Ceasefires on the verge of collapse as Trump's weighs new strikes. But then he's saying, well, there's no need to rush anything with Iran. And basically he's saying, I'm going to wait until I get back from China, and then we're going to bomb.
So they don't know what's going on.
He is playing, he's moving pawns around on the chessboard, and he's getting the enemy so devastated. It's just,
he's loving this.
Yeah, I should see that. I think this is going to be wrapped up in a few weeks, and we'll see oil
spend over
going
2
up
months
and everything, or gasoline prices going down, and he's just telling everybody everything they want to hear.
Well, he does have a good plan, and it's all there's multiple things he's doing with all of this, and he's going to reestablish a new oil economy in the world, and the U.S. is going to be at the top of that. And what he's doing is taking China's power away from them. I mean, there's so many things that are in this plan of his. And
China worries me because they're on Russia's side.
Yeah. Well, and Iran's side. Yeah. And he's there right now, this very minute.
Yeah,
in China.
He's in China
right now.
You better be careful.
I know, right?
I don't trust him.
So, and then, Trump says, time's up. You've been playing games with the United States and the rest of the world for 47 years, delay. And there's no doubt that this assessment is true, particularly in regard to the present on and off and on, like you were saying. Yeah. So he says their time's up, so when he gets back from China, we can fully expect something to happen. The IRGC, which is the Iranian military,
so bored with this.
They're now threatening that they're going to mess with the internet and disrupt the World Wide Web. They can probably.
They're not going to go down without a fight.
They can probably cut some of the trunks that are going across the ocean and do some things, certainly, with some, sleeper cells. And
they ruin the internet, though. They can't use the internet either.
True. Yeah.
They don't care.
They want the world chaos because remember the false prophecies that Satan set up in Islam are that there's going to be this chaos in the world that will bring the Mahdi. And I really think that's based on the sixth trumpet.
We haven't even seen chaos.
Not yet. Yeah.
No.
When there is chaos. And that's what I think I know just from Bible prophecy that we are definitely headed into that. But I think that before actual prophecy takes place, we are about to hit something catastrophic with all the gerrymandering that's going on too. The people are getting angrier and angrier and angrier.
Yeah.
And the thing is these haters of Trump, they don't even care about the citizens. They just want to hurt him. And it's like,
yeah.
You're making this personal.
And they don't care about people dying. They just hate Trump.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, they don't care.
So we could see some very bad things coming, even before prophecy unfolds.
Yes, I think so too.
And then Israel fears a potential bad U.S.-Iran deal, which I don't think they need to fear so much because Trump's really, really holding his ground and demanding there's not going to be any nuclear research going on, no refining, no nothing, And so they along with all the other Arab nations don't want a bad U.S.-Iran deal, because if Iran stays in power, if the current regime, the IRGC, stays in power, then they're going to take it out on the rest of the Middle East. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
So nobody wants a bad deal.
Yeah.
Trump says the U.S. will prevail over Iran peacefully or otherwise. I believe him. I believe he's just.
I think so too.
He wanted the Strait of Hormuz closed. That was in his plan to have the Strait of Hormuz closed so that he could remake the global oil economy and bring the U.S. back to
He wants us to be
some
the
power
strength
in that, and instead of OPEC controlling everything.
We're
So
gonna win.
this is I think what he's doing is a good thing. I hope it works. That's all I have to say about it. But then there's people don't really talk about Gaza much anymore since the Iran war started. But Hamas is gaining. They're recruiting. They're rearming. They're not going to get rid of their weapons.
Who dropped the ball on that one?
And they're blocking new construction that's trying to be done there.
Someone dropped the ball on that one.
Yeah, big time.
Because they're just getting stronger. They didn't take them out. They didn't
finish that job.
They did not finish that job.
Yeah. But then they're saying, the Board of Peace backs the expansion of Israel control in Gaza. So, then they're saying, maybe Israel will just have to disarm Hamas by themselves on their own, right? Which they could do. So
yeah,
we'll see how that all plays out. I think if Israel's given more control in Gaza, that it's just gonna, all the nations of the world except like 5 were all for the 2-state solution.
Yes.
So I think if Israel is given more control, that it'll just make them all even madder, and it may bring the world to say, no, we're gonna make this. We're gonna give Palestine a state, and we're going to force this.
A lot of European countries are on board, like right now. They want a 2-state solution.
Yeah, absolutely. And so does Saudi Arabia. The prince just said, I will recognize a Jewish state only with Auschwitz borders, which means, not before the creation of an independent Palestinian state along the 1949 Auschwitz borders of Israel at that time. So that's what he's saying. I'm not gonna recognize the state of Israel, give her the right to exist, unless we force a 2-state solution.
Sounds good to me.
Draw the borders as they were back in 1949. So there's the confirmation of the covenant if he gets what he wants.
I'm on board. I'll sign.
Yeah. So I mean, that would just mean that we're down to 7
very
years.
Close.
Yeah. So that would be awesome. Yeah. And then, oh man, the State Department finally blasts the UN for their efforts to facilitate replacement migration to the West, which is really what they've been promoting with all of this immigration around the world, in Europe and to the United States. It was pushed by the UN, for all of this to happen. And it was literally replacement efforts. They're trying to replace the current social and cultural peoples that live around the world, trying to mix everybody with Islam.
Is that Jack Black?
Why do you think?
Yeah, it looks like him.
Why do you think they're doing that? Because Satan literally controls the UN with his secret society. All of the government, all of the world organizations like the UN, the International Criminal Courts, all of those things are literally run by the secret society of Satan's. Yeah. So, I mean, here's what Islam really does. So there's this new report on October 7th, 23, that details how Muslim jihadis tortured civilians, maimed bodies, raped corpses. They shot women in intimate parts purposefully shooting them in their face to destroy their beauty and things like that. I mean, this is the work of barbaric, evil, vile creatures.
And it's not even, I always want to say animalistic. Animals don't do that to their
Animals aren't even this vile. Yeah.
No.
This is just so bad. I mean, who in the world would support Islam knowing what they do? It's just, wow. And, there's a lot of men, guaranteed, or granted, I should say, there's plenty of men that love violence.
Yeah.
So Islam is very attractive to them.
Mm-hmm.
It's so awful. But the Gen Zs of the world have been brainwashed into hating Jews and loving Islam. That's why we've got this New Hampshire candidate running for Congress that refuses to acknowledge Israel's right to exist.
Well, you're not going to have anything to do with it, pup.
What?
You don't care.
We don't care. It's going, the confirmation of the covenant is going to happen, and they are going to give the right to exist. So I don't really care what he thinks. He's a young pup.
Okay.
Yeah. They don't know what they're talking about.
No, and it don't matter because.
But it's, the reason I put this here was because it's important to understand the brainwashing. All of our, a lot of millennials and the Gen Zs for the most part, and especially the Gen Next, what is
Alpha?
The Gen Alphas. They're all so thoroughly brainwashed that they're just they don't have any idea what Islam really is.
They don't know what to think.
And they think that history really was a completely different history because they've been taught this crazy rewritten history.
Because they're not.
And some of them are going to be screaming for their mamas when
they are.
Everything breaks loose and things get even worse.
I know, because men are not men
tail between
anymore.
Their legs.
These Gen Z and millennial men are not men.
Mm-hmm.
They have no testosterone. They're just weak.
Yeah.
And cowardly. And it's
don't stand up for what's
it's not going to be a good thing.
Mm-hmm.
But,
now that we shot down the Gen Z.
Well, I know that
you're a Gen Z. Thanks for joining us.
Well, and
please come back.
I do have to put a caveat on that. It's not all of them. Unfortunately, it's most of them. But there are some that have, come out without being totally weakened and brainwashed.
Well,
and I'm happy that there are some.
Well, I just have to say that our two youngest boys, neither one of them think that way.
Right.
So
my son does not. Yeah.
And Alex doesn't think
Alex
like
does
that.
Not. Yeah.
So
yeah. So and I've showed you things like this before where Palestinian children, here's a Syrian child that's, waving a machete, threatening to slaughter Jews. It's a short little video. I'll show it to you.
Oh, wow. Syrian child.
If I can get it to load.
Mine don't either, Jody says.
Yeah. That's good.
Yeah.
If I can get it to load. Is it going to load?
Nope.
Well, I'll go to X. How about we do that? In a minute. Okay, here we go. So, all right.
Let me hear some whiny little boy.
لمين هذا السيف يا أبو؟
Yeah, let's start it over.
أبو البراء سلم أهلي. لمين هذا السيف يا أبو؟ قل له العم قبل فاتح لمين؟
تعرف لمين يا عم فاتح هذا السيف لمين؟
لمين؟
لإلك.
مين بدك تذبح فيه؟
الشبيحة والدروز والكفار والعلويين واليهود.
ممتاز. فرجي العمى قبل الفاتح شلون.
شوف يا عم فاتح شاطر.
هذا شو بدي اسوي فيه؟ شلون يابا بدك تعمل لهم؟
نعمل له هيك والله اكبر ونشرب من دم.
Isn't that just
Well, they're
wonderful?
just brainwashed.
I know.
You know.
This is what it
Doesn't know better.
does. And they're training their children to become jihadi
Yeah.
bombers, you know, to
Suicide bombers.
suicide bomb and kill as many Jews as they can find. I mean, this is what Islam is
They've just
training up their children to do.
Doomed his soul right
Yeah.
there.
Yeah. Yeah, so I know I've shown you some of those before, but that was a new one. That
Oh
came
yeah,
up.
look at this one. Look at this one.
And then, yeah, this Pope Leo awards the Iranian ambassador the highest papal order. It's
An award.
it's naming this man a Knight of the Grand Cross of the Order,
Huh.
which is very old, by the way. I've got
Now
a
you
picture
can
here.
see him.
This is Pope John Paul II with the Triple Cross,
Yeah, that's
and
a
he
Luciferian
is the Sovereign Grand Commander.
commander.
This
There
is
you
who the
go.
Pope. This is the Pope. Is the
The Triple
Sovereign
Yeah, then-
Grand Commander
Mhm.
of the secret society. Yeah. The Triple Cross is a Luciferian symbol
Yeah,
that the Pope is carrying around.
triple cross.
He's the Sovereign Grand Commander. And if you want to know more about the popes and the head of the snake and where they're really from, go to this newsletter here. I'll show you real quick how to find it. If you go to BibleProphecyandTruth.com and just scroll down to where you see this picture right here, click on this article, and there's also a video on videos.prophecyandtruth.com. But I talk about who the head of the snake is, and I present a lot of information about these things and where, who really is the Sovereign Grand Commander. Who's running the world? Who is the head of this snake? Who's the ruler of the secret society of Satan? So if you haven't seen that before, definitely check it out. Locally,
like him.
the Supreme Court in Virginia struck down their attempt to reorganize, what was it? The
Redistricting.
redistricting. Thank you. And they, which would have vastly changed the dynamics of it all, based on race is what they were trying to do.
Yeah.
And they struck it down. So now they're trying to get rid of the Supreme Court in Virginia.
They're just never going to stop.
Because they voted against what they wanted to do. So they don't care. They'll break any rule they can. They'll do anything they can to maintain power. That's all they care about. They're evil people. AOC is not hiding her terrifying political dream, where she's actually considering a 2028 presidential run. Now, I don't know anybody that would vote for her, but I'm sure she'd get
She's got a lot of followers.
She would get 30% of the vote.
She's got millions of followers.
She would get 30% of the vote, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But then they would cheat for the rest, right? Just like they always have been. So, she's just, it's a chilling echo of Barack Obama's promise to fundamentally.
Who is that?
AOC.
Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez.
Yeah. And, my ambition isn't a title or seat. My ambition is way bigger than that. My ambition is to change this country.
I'm
is
sure
what
it is.
Obama's promised to fundamentally transform America, right? This
Well,
is just,
she's a socialist.
This is just another puppet
Communist.
in the secret society that wants to destroy this country. And she's, you know, she's definitely communist, but that's just part of their plan, right? She's just a puppet.
No.
And she's the next one that they might try to elevate to do their work. So, oh boy, would that be a bad day. A couple of memes.
That's fine.
It's not our job to convert people. It's not our job to save people. It's not our job to convict people. It's not our job to convince people. It's our job to tell people. The convincing, convicting, converting, and saving is the work of the Holy Spirit.
Mm-hmm.
Tell everyone.
Tell everyone.
Tell everyone.
Tell somebody, then go on to the next person. Tell them. Go on to the next person. Tell them.
Don't just waste your time trying to save the same person forever. You know, if your son or daughter does not love Jesus, then move on and find someone who will listen. And that's, you know, the crowd loved Jesus until, right? They loved him when he was healing the sick and handing out food. They wanted to make him their king. But the crowds left when he started talking about the cost of following him.
Mm-hmm.
And that's exactly what we have today. The imposter Christians of today are the crowds of Jesus's day.
Yeah.
They create their own false image of Jesus, and they ignore his call to deny themselves, take up their cross, and follow him daily.
That's right. That's right.
That's the church of today.
Easy peasy.
And you know, I've said this before, that he's not expecting us to pick up a physical cross like he did.
No.
We still have it much easier than him.
Oh, way easier. Yes. Yeah. Picking up your cross daily is, you know, exactly like what this is talking about. This is what we're supposed to be doing. And we're not supposed to be wasting our time with people that don't love Jesus. We tell them, and the Holy Spirit convicts them and converts them if they will listen. But if they don't listen, move on. And don't be one of these people. So that's my sermon for the day. So thank you all for being here. We love every single one of you. We're not here to make money. We're not here to make followers. We're here to dispel the lies of Satan. We're here to tell the truth and share the truth and encourage people to read their Bible. That's our only goal here. So thank you for being here. Like I said, we love all of you. Let me say a prayer and we'll say goodbye. Thank you, Lord, for giving us this venue to be able to reach people, to tell them the truth, to dispel the lies of Satan, and lead them to you, Lord. Thank you, Jesus. In your name, amen.
Amen. Okay. Paul, Johanna, Jody, Raja, Lainey, and Kathleen. Thank you, guys.
Appreciate all of you. Appreciate your comments. And just
Thank you so
glad you're all
much.
here with us.
Thanks so much, everybody.
So
Big thumbs up.
Okay.
Ring that notification bell.
yeah.
Subscribe to this channel on YouTube. Go to
Tell
Rumble.
everyone you know.
Literally share this show with literally everyone you know. Jody said amen. Thank
Have
you,
no cards.
guys. Love you. Love you too, Jody.
You too, Jody.
God
There's
bless you
someone else
too,
I'm going to
Paul
talk to
Freeman.
at work.
Huh?
There's another person I'm going to talk to at work. I'm going to invite her to our live stream
Good for you.
Sunday.
That's what it's all about.
Sunday.
Tell people.
Telling.
everyone. Yeah. And if you know you bring up God and they get deer in the headlights eyes, and you just find someone else, right? Go talk to someone else.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's what most people at my work bring up God. They're like,
What
So,
I do?
but there are a few people that I've been able to talk to. So, you know, it's those
I
few
think
that will
it's
listen
funny.
that you spend your time with. So,
Yeah, or if he's texting him and say something about God like crickets, like, where did you go?
yeah. So thank you all for being here.
Yes, Sissy, love
We
you.
love all of you.
Love you.
And everyone that watches later, we know and we love you. And we're just glad you're here with us. So praise God. And love you, Diane. Thank you for being here.
Love you too.
Have a good rest of your week.
Yeah.
I will. This week is going by really fast.
And
Call
we
me
will
if
see
you
you
want.
back on Sunday.
Okay.
I'll talk to you
Bye.
on the weekend.
Okay.
Love you.